Hi everyone, I'm Pat Jolliffe and I'd like to welcome you to AnnuityScope.com where we put annuities under the microscope for you. I'm excited to be with Sean Mercer today. He's our fixed indexed annuity expert and he has something new to talk about. It's a hybrid annuity and I'm going to let you discuss how the advantages of this new product that's out in the marketplace could benefit all of our listeners today.
Thanks again, Patrick, for the nice introduction. And once again, we want to thank you for coming to our site and getting what we feel is probably the most important thing a person could do in their life, and that's get education and information, and we'll provide that for you completely for free today. Now, when we look at features when it comes to fixed annuities, we really put them in a category that people need to look and make sure before they put their name on the dotted line that the contract, the guaranteed insurance contract that you're looking to purchase, that it has some of these characteristics. First and foremost, we look for a contract that has no fees. This right here is probably the most important feature that you as a consumer need to take into consideration. There's a lot of fixed, hybrid, indexed annuities out there that most people will tell you is a reasonable fee, and they will be anywhere from about 35.35 basis points per year up to about 1%. Now, I don't know about you, but when it comes to me, I prefer not having to pay a fee. And as you know, Patrick, if you are pushing upwards of a 1% annual fee every single year inside a product that is fixed, and as we know, these indexed annuities, you're able to what? Participate in some of the market gains, not all of the market gains. So if you tack on a 1% fee in something that's not getting 100% of the upward movement of the markets, that can be pretty detrimental, correct?
Yes, it would be, and I have a question for you with regarding that. So if the market does not move in a positive direction and you're in a contract like this that has a fee, is it possible then that a person could see an actual negative performance year?
It is possible if it's based upon a rider that is attached to the guaranteed insurance contract. And typically, when there's a fee charged, it is usually for an income rider. Okay? And that being said, they won't take, any of the losses on the downside, but that fee will be subtracted from their accumulation value out of their principal. Okay? So, very, very important. If you can find a hybrid stacked annuity out there with no fees, that's a good thing. Okay? Now, next would be spousal continuation. Abbreviate there. Spousal continuation. This is an extremely important feature because oftentimes what we have found with the majority of our retiring clients is typically it's starting to change. But most people that are in that 60 to 70 year range, the breadwinner of the household was the husband. The IRA that typically gets funneled into these particular contracts is under the husband's name. The reason that you want to do this is because it provides guaranteed lifetime income so you can maintain your lifestyle. Well, if the husband dies first and then the contract is over, it eliminates the spouse and it might put you into a financial situation that you don't want to be in. So you want to make sure that there is spousal continuation on your contract.
Well, I think that's also important too from a financial planning perspective. What I've found certainly as a certified financial planner over the years, a lot of times the husband or the male in the relationship is the breadwinner and also takes care of all of the finances. And so the wife oftentimes is concerned about, if I lost my husband, how would I continue to gain income and so on and so forth? What are the finances? And not to pick on the guys or anything, but when we talk about this kind of stuff, they go, oh yeah, that's right, huh? It's important that my spouse have some sort of a plan and be aware of what that is. And the nice thing about this spousal continuation feature is nothing has to be done. It's just going to essentially automatically continue that income onto the spouse, so we don't have to be worried about that.
That is correct. Next, what we've found when it comes to fixed indexed annuities is that you want to make sure that the contract has an annual reset provision. Now, what does annual reset mean? Annual reset very simply means this, that every single year on your contract's anniversary date, your contract resets to whatever the point level is of your chosen index. Okay? So for example, this is how this would work. Let's say that the S&P 500, and I'm going to use this hypothetically, we know it's higher than that. It's about 1,1700 right now, but I want to use round numbers because I'm not that smart, is 1,000 points. Okay? The following year, the S&P goes up and it's 1,100 points. Okay? So with the stacked hybrid indexed annuity that we discussed earlier, you would get a portion of that gain and have it stacked on top of your 5%, and you get that gain. Okay, and it's locked into your income account. Now, subsequently, let's say in year 2, the market goes down to 900 points. Okay? What happens? Do you participate in any of those losses, Patrick, with a stacked hybrid indexed annuity?
No.
No, you don't. You do not take any losses. But here's where the annual reset provision helps you out as a consumer. At this year, your new starting value is 900 points. If the market then is positive this next year and goes back up, you get to participate in this upward movement. Now, Patrick, you may want to explain to them, if they're invested in a stock, okay, they're going to have to go past their original value to get back to even, correct?
That's correct. I mean, the thing we always talk about is if you lose 50%, you've got to get 100% rate of return to make it back. And so that's important because what you find here is you don't ever give up what you've already made. And that's a huge, huge issue. You know, Warren Buffett talks about that. Rule number 1 in investing is don't lose money. And rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1. So that's what that gives us. And I like the fact that you can reset because you're always starting in a position at the beginning of each year, regardless of where the index is, to participate in market growth. And that's huge.
Well, and the other thing that we always like to tell clients is that if the market's going to go down in a particular year, really when we're on this side of the fence and we're using a hybrid indexed annuity, we want it to go down to the basement because the further it goes down, okay, and if it does it in a year's time frame, if it has an annual reset provision, you're going to reset at that lower point value. And if we know the market has already been here, well, guess what? You as the investor get to make all the gains over the subsequent years, lock them in, and they're never ever taken away
You
from
know,
you.
it's kind of like an automatic way of taking your chips off the table at the end of each year.
Yes.
And storing and putting it over here and keeping what you've earned. And that's an interesting scenario, and it's not an unbelievable scenario, because that's just exactly what we saw happen in the markets back in 2008 and 2009.
Next, what we like to see is a vibrant choice of indexes. Whoops. D. There's a lot of indexed annuities out there that maybe give you one or two choices. The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and a fixed account. We like to make sure that there is a robust set of choices. There are even some guaranteed insurance contracts out there that even offer a gold index, so a person can utilize gold strategies. There's also some that don't use an index but use an inverse relationship. So if we're in this declining market and we feel that we're going to be declining for 24 months, you can utilize a strategy that if the market is just negative, you're going to make money. And then you get to stack it on top of the 5% for future income. Very, very powerful. Next would be, if you can, try to find the ability to get uncapped gains. What that means is that, as we've stated, you can participate in some of the upward gain. There are uncapped strategies that will give you a higher rate of return than just an annual point-to-point type basis. Now, are they going to give you 100% of the market? No. They're going to most likely do it on an averaging basis, a monthly average, uncapped with a participation rate of that. So you're not going to get 100% of it, but you will get more than just an annual capped type rate. So very important. Next would be, what we want to make sure is that there are benefits for long-term care if you were to go into a nursing home. Very, very important feature. People put their money into these vehicles for all the safety, the income, this, that, and the other, but you want to make sure that if an emergency was to happen, that you have access to your money. Typically, if there is a long-term care benefit with these contracts, they will allow you to access your penalty-free amount an additional 10%. So a person could take out 20% out of their account yearly to help cover some of those expenses.
You know what the odds are? If you're married and age 65, or older, the odds of one of the two of you spending time in a nursing home before you die is over 50%. So that's an important feature, because the probability is that one of the two of us, right, in a married relationship, are going to see the inside of a nursing home before we pass away. So we want to make sure that you've got access to the funds, and in an emergent situation, this takes care of that.
I'm getting a little low here on the board, but. And lastly, you want to make sure that your contract has full account value upon death with no strings attached. Very, very important to have that feature, because a surviving spouse might need access to that money. Now, as you know, Patrick, we do have a free report for people. If they just fill out the information right here on the website, we can give them this free report on a hybrid stacked annuity. And it has some very, very valuable information, and we'll discuss some of what we talked about today.
Yeah, sure. So the Bridging the Retirement Gap with a Stacked Hybrid Annuity, it's a free report. You're under no obligation to do anything with this. Again, it's just we're here to help educate you and inform you about what your options are. So here at the website, if you'll just complete the information that's requested, we'll be sure to get this right out to you. And on behalf of myself, again, I'm Pat Jolliffe, and my partner Sean Mercer, we want to thank you very kindly for taking the time to watch this and visiting us at annuityscope.com. Thanks again.